Breaking tonight, a major interstate on the verge of being shut down. Plus, an entire neighborhood has its power cut off as police urge people to evacuate immediately. And a community in shock after their town turns into a lake. We have team coverage of the ongoing flood alert, what we've learned about 3 more storm-related deaths, the race to keep a river in St. Louis from covering a busy street, and 5 on Your Side gets answers for homeowners whose basements are flooded. We start with breaking news. The Missouri National Guard is officially on duty to help flood victims. 30 guardsmen from Jefferson Barracks launched a sandbag operation tonight at the water treatment facility in High Ridge. The plant is currently in danger of flooding, and if that happens, the plant would be closed for cleanup. There's only a couple days worth of water reserves and storage, so residents are being urged to conserve water as much as possible until this issue is resolved. Meanwhile, there's new information from the Army Corps of Engineers. The Mississippi River and its tributaries are threatening to overtop 19 federal levees. The threatened areas include Perry and St. Genevieve counties in Missouri and Randolph County in Illinois. However, the levee protecting the city of St. Genevieve is not believed to be in danger. Also breaking tonight, we are just hours away from the likely closure of a major interstate. Floodwaters are threatening to overtake I-44 near Valley Park. We have team coverage of the latest developments and a new forecast of just how high the river levels are expected to get. Let's kick things off with Jacob Long, who is live along I-44 in St. Louis County.
Well, Ann, you see all of this floodwater here behind me. The entire time we have been out here tonight, we have been watching it grow higher and higher by the second. At this hour, it is threatening multiple fast food restaurants right off Highway 141. But the biggest concern among people here happens in just a few hours when this water is expected to overtake a road thousands of people use every single day. Thousands of gallons of overflowing floodwater might make the perfect backdrop for a photo op for some people.
I'm just coming out to see how bad this flood is tonight. I've heard about it during work.
But in just a few hours, it might just wash out any hope of making it to work on time for thousands of South County drivers.
I would be sad if I have to miss work. I don't want to get fired.
MoDOT expects another 8 feet of water to spill into the area of Interstate 44 and Route 141 overnight Tuesday, meaning by Wednesday morning, 44 is expected to be closed in both directions.
With that amount of water coming on, rising and coming on I-44, we can't fight it. We can't keep it off I-44.
It's a similar situation to what the Valley Park area experienced in 2008. And despite storm drain improvements, MoDOT says this time flood levels will still end up 4 feet higher.
But when it gets to a certain point, we can't hold that back, that whole entire Merrimack River.
So as the last customers leave nearby businesses to get out of harm's way, people are reflecting on how they'll manage without I-44 for the next few days.
I understand there's other ways around not using the interstate, but a lot of those routes are blocked right now as well.
And so what is MoDOT going to do? Well, they say they are going to have posted detours for all of those drivers, how to get around that closed interstate. It's not believed that I-44 will reopen until at least Friday at the earliest. And even then, they say that the interstate will have to undergo inspection so to make sure there's no structural damage. We're live in Valley Park tonight. Jacob Long, News Channel 5.
Developing news in Arnold. Just minutes ago, officials turned off the power in a neighborhood that's in danger of flooding. They're asking people to evacuate now as the water continues to rise. People in Arnold have been sandbagging all day as water started to cover yards and creep towards homes. News Channel 5's Jennifer Meckles is in Arnold to continue our team coverage.
The work is hard and no volunteer too young. It's all hands on deck along Convair Drive in Arnold, where the water is moving faster than they'd planned for.
Just look, people are driving in the water.
Just 24 hours ago, Stacy Robinson was trying to save a neighbor's house from floodwaters. Now,
everything in garbage bags.
It's her own home at risk.
We still need help. I mean, we really need help. We're saving my house right now.
Arnold officials opened an emergency operations center and 2 command centers Tuesday. Like many cities, people in Arnold are comparing this flood to the big one in 1993.
Right now, they're estimating this to crest at 46.1. which is going to be a significant event that we haven't seen since 1993.
15 minutes south, Kimmswick is also bagging sand and building a bigger levee. Time, or lack of it, is the biggest challenge.
Winter flood like this is very out of the ordinary. And this one came up very quickly, and the order of magnitude is very high.
So on they work, long after sunset, because whether it's the Mississippi in Kimmswick or the Merrimack in Arnold, floodwaters wait for nobody.
Jennifer Meckles reporting. Arnold plans to hold an emergency council meeting tomorrow night to discuss response efforts. Now to a developing story at the Fenton wastewater treatment plant. We've learned the building will be fully submerged by Thursday, and there's no timetable for when it will be back up and running. A flooding-related malfunction is blamed for sending untreated sewage into the Merrimack. Health officials want to stress there is no danger to the drinking water in Fenton, but people who come in contact with tainted floodwaters should thoroughly wash with soap and water. New tonight, the Burbus River has finally crested in Union, but not before leaving behind this jaw-dropping scene in the heart of town. An historic flood that left several businesses with water up to their rooftops. It has been a difficult day, not only for those business owners, but also for residents of the Franklin County community. News Channel 5's Marianne Martinez has been in Union all day. She is live there tonight to continue our flood team coverage. And I know things are receding, Cindy said.
Yes, and thankfully the floodwaters are starting to recede. Around 2 o'clock, the water was here where this white line is. It's come down now several feet down here, but so many businesses in Union, including this QT, are still underwater.
Praying it don't go no higher. I don't know if I could take that.
Dolores Hill fled her home in the middle of the night, and she spent all day watching the water creep slowly toward her front door.
You think about the people that have gone through it, and then you think, was I that uncaring that I didn't know that people had to go through this? But it's devastating.
Well, it looks like it is coming from a vent now.
Union firefighters launched their boat concerned a trailer in this mobile home park was on fire. They also checked to see if there were people inside, but everybody had fled. The Burbus River crested, threatening the closure of Interstate 44 at one point. Across town, several highways were closed, prompting the Franklin County Sheriff to issue a warning that is worth repeating.
A lot of times when water goes over a road, it has a tendency to erode it. So it's really important that people don't try to cross water that's over the road.
Businesses also flooded with the water reaching near the rooftops. Workers wondered if and when they would have jobs.
We could just see everything rising, every time we went back it was higher and higher.
By the evening, water started to recede, giving residents hope that the worst was over.
God is wonderful. Maybe he'll pull the plug and it'll all go down.
Governor Nixon is scheduled to come to Franklin County tomorrow at 1:30 to tour the damage and meet with officials. We are live in Union. Marianne Martinez, News Channel 5.
New tonight, 3 more people have been confirmed dead in Missouri and Illinois. The bodies of a man and woman were found today near Taylorville in Christian County. Authorities say they were trying to cross a flooded area and drowned. Meanwhile, police in Pulaski County found the body of a missing international soldier. He was one of 5 who died when a car was swept off the road near Crocker this weekend. There have been nearly 20 flood-related deaths in Missouri and Illinois. More than 500 volunteers have completed a sandbagging operation along the River des Peres in St. Louis. Volunteers and city staff shoveled 630 tons of sand into 36,000 sandbags today. They got there at 7 a.m. They built a wall between Morgan Ford and Alabama, just trying to hold back those rising floodwaters. We caught up with 2 of these volunteers, a father and son who belong to a local Boy Scout troop.
I think it's important to see that, there's a bigger cause, more to life than, what we do every day. And, here's where it comes down to, what's really important in life, and that's, helping the people around you.
There were enough sandbags left over to help people in Jefferson County. Crews then trucked 1,500 sandbags to the water treatment plant in High Ridge we were telling you about. New tonight, the Red Cross has opened a shelter for flood victims in St. Charles County. Anyone who needs a place to get food or sleep can go to Francis Howell North High School. That is in the 2500 block of Hackman Road. The Red Cross has also opened shelters in Arnold, Pacific, Bethalto, and Granite City. One of the hardest hit areas in St. Charles County is the community of West Alton. More than 500 people there were told to evacuate because water overtopped a levee. Highways 67 and 94 are already flooded in some areas. Gas stations along 67 have even taken out the gas pumps because of the threat of flooding. So far, no homes in this area are flooded, but residents expect that will change. Across the river in Alton, the city is banking on new barriers to hold back the rising river. City officials had a new flood wall built from sand and concrete. The mayor says the river will continue to be at dangerous levels through Thursday, but he is hopeful the wall will hold. The scenes from the sky, they have just been remarkable, probably reminding many of you at home of the flood of '93. Our chopper has been documenting the damage all day long. Here's a look at some of the most powerful images from the air. We showed some of this to you earlier, but it's worth a closer look. This video made international headlines. Businesses in Union, Missouri underwater. A gas station, fast food restaurants, even a hardware store all look like they were built in the middle of a lake. Check out what the flooding in West Alton looks like from the air. The river is expected to crest here Thursday, more than 17 feet above flood stage. That would be the second highest ever, only behind the Great Flood of 1993. And here's what Route 141 looked like near Interstate 44 in Fenton. It's expected to be closed for a couple more days. And as Jacob Long told you earlier, I-44 is also on the verge of being shut down. And new tonight, evacuations in Eureka, where 6 families are trying to escape floodwaters. They live on a street near Highway 109 that's appropriately named River Ends Drive. The families tell us it's flooded before, and they've been preparing for a couple of days.
Our church is probably, I'm going to guess, maybe 100 people. That's a pretty round guess. I don't really know. But I'll bet 30-something of them have showed up this weekend to help, or this last 2 days to help us. It's amazing.
Most of the houses are actually set up so they can be hosed down after flooding. After the flood of 2008, the families were able to move back in the next day. 5 on Your Side is getting answers for homeowners with flooded basements. Historic rainfall is finding its way into a lot of homes and businesses. Sometimes prevention can make a difference. Other times there's just too much rain and homeowners are forced to deal with it. Here's 5 on Your Side's Art Holiday.
We've never really had any issues. We've never had water in the basement.
Instead of hoverboarding with his son, John Schrader's Christmas vacation was interrupted Monday by water in the basement, and his wet, dry vacuum wasn't enough to solve the problem.
12-gallon capacity and emptied it probably 12 to 13 times.
He actually removed about 200 gallons of water before we got here.
Justin Woodard of Woodard Cleaning and Restoration says these cracks in the Schrader basement couldn't withstand days of heavy rainfall.
The vast majority of what we're seeing in homes is the groundwater not having anywhere else to go.
Soaked carpet padding has to go. The basement has to be dried out, a common problem in the St. Louis region following days of historic rainfall.
We had over 300 phone calls about water damage from homes and businesses. There's actually a lot of things you can do to prevent the water from coming into your home. Make sure your landscaping, is going away from your home. So especially if you've got window wells, make sure that your gutters are clear of debris, leaves. If you do have a sump pump in your basement, make sure that you test it.
For the Schraders, multiple foundation cracks will have to be repaired and a sump pump installed. Insurance may not pay for damage or repairs.
They informed us that it's likely not covered because this would be considered a flood, even though there's no flood around us and we're at the top of a hill.
It is always a good idea to check your home insurance policy so you know what's covered when it comes to flooded basements. If you're dealing with flooding issues at your home, we want to hear about it. Send an email to 5onyourside@ksdk.com, or you can call us at 314-444-5231. The pictures we've gotten all day from viewers from our helicopter, Cindy, are just incredible. You have one for us now.
I do, and this one comes from downtown Alton. We're seeing some flooding now in the streets in the downtown area. The National Weather Service has just extended that flash flood warning for northeastern St. Charles County now until 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's because we're still getting some overtopping of these levees. It happened this afternoon, still going on, evacuations in the West Alton area. So this is now a flash flood warning that is going to continue now all night into tomorrow morning until 7 a.m. We'll see what it looks like by that time.
A 5 on your side flood alert as the mighty Merrimack is cresting, testing records, and flooding out of its banks, even tearing homes from foundations.
Swallowing roads, bridges, as people fight to keep the floodwaters at bay.
Others are surrounded by floodwaters with no way out.
And people still taking dangerous chances in a flood that's now claimed 14 lives in Missouri. Good evening. Towns all along the Merrimack River are either underwater or on high alert tonight.
The river is expected to hit historic highs. Thousands affected in towns like Fenton, Eureka, Arnold, and Valley Park. We have a team of reporters covering the flooding. We begin our coverage in Eureka. This is a bird's eye view of South Central Avenue. You can see homes, businesses underwater, about halfway up to that first story. News Channel 5's Art Holiday toured the town by boat, and he joins us live.
Well, for much of the day, water has continued rising here in Eureka. A local attorney, John Butler, who owns a couple of buildings here on North Central Avenue behind me, took us on a float trip where business owners are waiting to assess the flood damage.
I'm in the middle of the street, so it's 4 feet high here because I'm 6 feet tall, you know, but I'm at the high point. Like I said, it gets deeper this way and that way.
This is North Central Avenue in Old Town Eureka. Many of the businesses on both sides of the street are underwater and suffering a lot of flood damage. So your feelings right now are what?
Amazement, disbelief that it got this bad this quick. The red building down there in the corner, my dad started in the 1950s and my brother took over. So we've had property in Eureka since the 1950s.
And is this the worst you've ever seen?
Worst anyone's has ever seen. But luckily, like no homes, no one's hurt. We can be, all these businesses we can rebuild.
It sounds like you're trying to find a silver lining here, and that's got to be a challenge.
It is. We're trying to look on the positive. No one was hurt. These are not homes. Be grateful. You know, we got a place to go home to tonight.
Now this flood is a big deal for the Butler family. John Butler, his brother, and his sister all own businesses here on North Central Avenue, and they all have water damage at the moment. Live in Eureka, Art Holiday, News Channel 5.
A 24-mile stretch of I-44 from 270 to Highway 100 in Gray Summit is closed. This is why. Let's take a look at 44 and 141 in Valley Park. Look at that, the entire intersection underwater. Jacob Long is live in Valley Park.
Well, Ann, it is important to understand that the story on this side of the Merrimack River is a lot different from the other side, but no less devastating. Someone from MoDOT actually just told me that they think that this has gone up another 2 to 3 feet since overnight this morning, making this about 15 feet deep. And so that is why you can expect 44 and 141 to be closed for the next several days. Now I want to talk about what is going on the other side of the Merrimack. That is where you'll find a lot of homes and a lot of longtime businesses right up against that rising water. The Merrimack is moving very closely, like we saw today, has already reached a record level of 43 feet. It's expected to rise even more, up to 40 feet, 44 feet rather, before cresting as early as tonight. And so that is why people in Valley Park spent all day today reinforcing their flood wall with sandbags in a desperate attempt to save everything that they hold dear. And those people who are on the receiving end of all of that generosity say that they are just forever grateful.
Everybody's come down and helped down here. Thanks for the city guys working. Them guys are putting a lot of time in and sacrificing their time and not getting their own stuff out, because a lot of them guys live down here too.
Now tonight, a mandatory evacuation order remains in effect in Valley Park for the homes and businesses closest to that flood wall. The mayor telling us that it's going to have to remain in effect until that water comes down to a safe level and people can return back to their homes. Live in Valley Park, Jacob Long, News Channel 5.
We have a complete list of every road closure in Missouri and Illinois on our website, and the best way to get around them, just head to KSTK.com.